And welcome back. Today finds us at what used to be called the Flower Pots here at Hopewell Rocks. We had to hire a cast of thousands basically to demonstrate the size of some of these rock formations caused by the very strong tides here in the Bay of Fundy. And of course, that Bay of Fundy is the home of the highest tides in the world. So you can see how things are carved out into all sorts of interesting shapes. Hopewell Rocks is located about 35 minutes south of the city of Moncton in New Brunswick. Hopewell Rocks, here in the Bay of Fundy. Got some amazing rock formations here. Basically all carved out by the extreme tides of the region. So we're about half an hour after low tide here at Hopewell Rocks, Bay of Fundy. Basically, for the bottom of this cavern to be covered in water, the tide is going to rise 9 meters from where it is now. It'll go another further 18 feet or so, basically to reach where the cones start flaring out, if you like. It's a neat tide today, so not quite as impressive as it can be. The sea bottom is actually quite gravelly, but everywhere you go basically there is a film of mud which basically gets washed in with every tide. On the whole, the top end of the Bay of Fundy, so around this region, is actually very brown from all the silt and the mud that gets washed up with the rushing in and rushing out of the tides. So it was a case of really treading carefully here. Luckily nobody seemed to go over, so that's always a plus. But as you can see, the actual Bay of Fundy is quite brown due to all that silt. Okay, so we've got some different rock formations here as we sort of walk further up the sea floor, as it were. But you can see it's cutting into all sorts of different shapes. At the beginning of each season, apparently, they send abseilers down these cliffs, basically to check for any instabilities that might have occurred during the freezing and contracting that happens over the winter months. Obviously, it's very much geologically alive, and the sea is inexorably cutting its way into the cliffs, and as a result we've got all sorts of stuff falling down from time to time, and obviously that can happen at any time. Okay, a bit of seaweed growth here clinging to the rocks for dear life. You see sort of how some of the rocks have washed away, and trees and everything come down with them basically as time goes along. And all sorts of caverns and underground sort of caves are formed just by those strong tides. I'm actually walking through an archway here on the way to interesting rock formations, and just coming out on those now, and we can see some quite square looking ones. Well, here we are, further along the coast here at Hopewell Rocks on the Bay of Fundy, and serious low tide at the moment, although the actual low tide was over half an hour ago now. In a matter of about 5 hours or so, I'm going to be seriously treading water if I'm still here, so just blows the mind. More crazy rock formations. Some of them almost remind you of the statues on Easter Island, Moai. Yeah, these ones are quite square compared to the other ones we've seen. Okay, we went away for a while and let the tide come up. It's not full tide for another hour, but you can see the difference here. So this is where we were walking before, and now very much underwater. You can see here basically that the water's starting to lap against the bottom of the cliffs, and that thing almost looks like a water bird of some description. But you can see here as it's just gathering around the back of the rock. Nearly made it, nearly made it. There you go, joined together. So yeah, you can literally sit here and watch it come up very quickly. So quite incredible to think we were walking around down there a few hours ago. We'd certainly have our heads underwater now. Even the sign seems to be lapping the bottom of getting lapped at the bottom. But an incredible place and an incredible demonstration of just how much those tides in the Bay of Fundy are extreme. An incredible place, worth a visit.